Serendipity is
something you have to create. You can't wait for it. You can't expect it to happen.
Okay. Don't have fun. You
create fun.
Okay. Adventure causes
you to grow as a person.
What scares you
is probably something you should do.
Check it out, we're back with another episode of Leaders Create Leaders, and today we're going to be sitting with a guy named Jon Levy. He's a human behaviorist that literally breaks down the science of adventure.
Barry Schwartz talks about the paradox of choice, that if we have too few choices, we're unhappy, but if we have too many choices, we are also unhappy. So how do we limit the choices so that we get the most satisfaction? And so I played games with constraints on going out. So I said, okay, next time I go out, I'm gonna pile up all the constraints I can. So I went to Nice, where I don't speak the language, I don't speak French, don't know anybody, don't have a place to stay, and I agreed that I wouldn't get one, and did no research ahead of time about the city. And I went there at 11 at night, and either I'd convince a stranger to put me up for the night, or I'd sleep on the street. And it was one of the best nights of my life.
Oh,
so much so that a year later I went to Lima, Peru, and for 12 hours, just dropped myself off there, and like, once again, I was either going to sleep on the street or find somebody to put me up. And it's in the willingness to experiment and be uncomfortable that I really get the most satisfaction. So what we ended up discovering was what I call the 2 a.m. principle.
Right.
And the 2 a.m. principle is that nothing good happens after 2 a.m.
A lot of people do think that, right? Like, it's funny because my sister says that to me. She says 1 a.m.
So wait, but here's the important part.
Right.
It's nothing good happens after 2 a.m. except the most epic experiences of your life.
Right.
For me, I love being spontaneous. I love traveling. I love going to new places, learning about new cultures, meeting new people. I actually grew up as a very social person. I actually knew everyone around my block. And I didn't grow up with a smartphone, so I was forced to have to meet new people. And with Jon, it was the opposite. He actually didn't grow up as a social person. He was more of an introvert, and that's why he really wanted to understand the human behavior and how to create adventure. Was there really a science around it? And he actually figured it out. He actually traveled 30 countries in 1 year. And literally at every major event around the world, he went to it. And he forced himself to step out of his comfort zone, to step out of his boundaries, to meet new people, to understand new cultures. And literally, this caused him to almost get run over by bulls. He's high-fived penguins in the South Pole. This guy's done it all.
But here's the important part. I discovered that every adventure follows a 4-stage process. And each stage has specific characteristics that when you apply them make life exciting. So the 4 stages are establish, where you put the right elements in place, push boundary, where you cross some kind of social, physical, or emotional boundary, increase, where you maximize the emotional value of the environment, and continue, where you choose to either go on somewhere else or end the evening. And so it's the most epic: establish, push boundaries, increase, continue, because it's the epic model of adventure.
The second takeaway is that when you're creating an adventure in your life, it's going to help you become more creative. It's actually going to help you become more resourceful. He talks about a lot of stories on how he put himself in situations where he didn't expect. He put himself in situations that were new and challenging, but it forced him to become more resourceful, and therefore he created unbelievable experiences.
There's this really odd behavior characteristic called the winner effect, which works like this. If you win at something, let's say you're a boxer and you win in a boxing match,
right,
your testosterone levels increase after.
Right.
That prepares you for the next battle, right, and giving you a higher chance of success. But if that keeps happening, you end up with so much testosterone in your system that you think you're invincible.
Right.
And then you'll see erratic behavior, like animals in nature will stay out and they'll get attacked and eaten, or they'll get into unnecessary fights and die. Or Wall Street traders will do riskier.
That happened to me, and I lost $20 million.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Story.
Wow.
Yeah.
So That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I definitely want to hear about that, but I'll just finish this up first. So when the Bulls were in the stadium, I run up to one of them and I touch it and I run away, and I was like, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm already so pumped up from the run and surviving that, that then I was like, okay, what's the next thing I can do? I'm gonna go slap one on the butt. So I like run up to it, I slap it, and it turns around and looks at me, and I start freaking out, and then somebody else distracts it, I run away, and I'm like, okay, and I'm so pumped up. I'm like completely full of adrenaline. I'm like, what's the most daring thing I can do? So I take the safest position I can, right at the gates where they open up the gates, and the bull runs in and jumps in. And they clear like 12 people, it's crazy. And I bend down, crouch, cover my head, and as the bull's running, I see it slips, misses its jump, and lands square on my back. And everything goes numb, and everything is absolutely silent. Like all of the cheers and screams of like thousands of spectators just disappear. And I feel like I'm stuck in my head with my own thoughts alone. And all I can think is, this might be the rest of my life like this. It may have severed my spine, I might be paralyzed. And I had to make a choice in that moment that either I was going to regret having lived an adventurous life, or accept the fact that I lived by my terms, and this is just a fluke that occurred. And I was like, okay, I can handle this.
So one of the main takeaways that Jon goes over is that the fundamental element that defines the quality of your life are the people that you surround yourself with. Now, I talk about this a lot with your circle of influence for business, but it matters just as much for your personal life, because without like actually having people that are open-minded to creating new experiences in your life that are going to help you travel and meet new people and, you know, have these kind of like serendipity moments, then like, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to have a life that's really just not exciting. So I think it's really important that the first takeaway, that you really have people around you that are open-minded to trying new things and actually want to create this type of new adventures in your life. Because you can have all the success in the world, but if you're not creating new like experiences for your life, you're never going to really truly appreciate your success.
So if you look at the example that Adam Grant gives in his book Originals, he looks at the founders of Warby Parker. And what's really interesting about them was, long past the point that Warby Parker was already showing signs of success, the team kept working at their internships and jobs. And so they were able to hedge their risk significantly. So starting a company at any point, as you know, is going to be a risky venture. But you don't have to throw yourself all the way into the deep end of the pool on day one. You can learn and develop the skills slowly. And that's my biggest recommendation, is that, you know, I do outrageous things, but since the age of 12, 13, I've been pushing the boundaries of my comfort zone because I've been so driven to understand what connects people. And it's unfair to have the expectation that you'll be the same. And so you want to just keep pushing yourself. And it's kind of interesting, have you ever heard of flow state?
Yes.
So flow state, for those of you who may not know, is the state of peak human performance. Athletes, writers, musicians talk about entering a state of flow where they're their most creative, and there's a seamless connection between them and their activity. They don't know where one begins and the other ends. And what's consistently said about the state is that people are doing stuff that's just at the cusp of their skill set. So that they have to, it's not so easy that it's boring, it's not so tough that it's completely daunting. It's just at that point where they can push themselves.
Right.
And that would be my biggest recommendation, is find what's at the edge of your comfort zone and keep going.
The third takeaway I think is the most important as it relates to an entrepreneur. It actually makes you a better entrepreneur. It builds your tolerance. Creating a venture in your life builds your tolerance for risk. It actually helps you become creative. It helps you become resourceful. I mean, it opens you up to just being more confident, to just dive in and just jump into whatever it is, you know? So just never be afraid. Put a little adventure in your life, talk to some people, get outside, have fun, meet new people. Make sure you surround yourself with people who want that kind of adventure too, and challenge yourself. You only live one life, and all the success in the world will mean nothing unless you create those stories that you'll always remember and that you can share and meet new people, create those serendipity moments.
Right? Because if you live in a small town and you only have 3 bars and every Saturday is the same thing, then by adding a mission and constraints, you can make those familiar environments exciting again. So imagine, your mission is to go out and have drinks, but this time you're not allowed to spend any money. So now you have to treat those environments as a game.
Yeah.
Are you going to convince people? Are you going to bet them something? Are you going to play a game where you're going to trade things in? You know, the trade game that people always talk about in college, where you start with a paperclip and somebody ends up with a house because they keep trading with random strangers. But that in itself causes you to both go outside of your comfort zone and to relate to your environment in new ways. Now it's novel again.
Wow.
I've had my fair share of craziness, ranging from climbing the ghost tower of Bangkok and almost falling off to eating scorpions and swimming in the Antarctic and
Jumping in limos at 2 a.m., crashing bachelorette parties.
Yeah, I did that too. I once traversed the city of New York at night in a oversized giant orange Home Depot shopping cart that me and my friends found on the street, and literally like paid a bouncer off to let us into the bar while riding in it. Yeah. And like the amazing thing is that people started treating us as if we were celebrities. Like they'd be like, "Oh, let's buy them drinks," and you know, it's incredible. But it's literally how exciting do you want your life to be? Because there's so many opportunities. If we're willing to be a little creative and get out of our comfort zone, there's so much you can do. My general belief is, if I were to say one thing, is that the scope and size of your life is in direct proportion to how uncomfortable you're willing to be.
Yeah.
And so I really wish people an incredibly uncomfortable life.
So check it out. As you guys know, we launched our new Leaders Create Leaders community. Click the link below, join our community. I got some cool footage with Jon, breaking down more of his stories. And we also go into the social currency aspect, how to build that circle of influence. So join the community, also share, like, comment below, share your ideas with us, with the whole content squad. It inspires us to keep these episodes coming. So until next time, Leaders Create Leaders, GA, the boy, we out. Peace.
Ain't shit changed but the chain and a watch. We gon' make it rain, switch lanes in the drop. One red, one blue, like we came with the cops. Yeah, it's going down.